Hi there, it's your favorite neighborhood nerd Simone, and I obviously did not bring my small good camera to film outside. I'm just filming on my phone. However, I didn't even think I was going to film a video today at all, but I need to talk through some stuff, and so I thought I could start the video right here, maybe even sit down and tell you all about my woes. Look who's here! Ouch! So, I am thriving and struggling at the same time. And it's weird to me why I can't thrive in all aspects of life. So I started planning a little, getting back into planning things a little. Very soft start to the planning side. And I think so far, this is as much planning as I want to do. And I'm going to show you a little bit about it when I'm going to the desk. But it's going really well. I have top 3 things that I would like to get done so I can feel accomplished at the end of the week. I am trying to plan my downtime on the weekends a little with weekend goals. Not something super rough and thought out and this has to get done, but it's really hard to explain what I'm actually doing. I'm sitting down on Friday thinking ahead to Sunday night when the weekend is over and wondering what I want to have done that filled my cup. I hope that makes sense. It's a weird way of phrasing it, but it's like, okay, so imagining if all of this weekend is already done, what right now do I think will have filled my cup? I think that's the best way I can phrase it. And then I just write a list of things, small things, big things. It doesn't even matter if it's... Hey there, Max. Are you a good boy? Good job. Yes. Good boy. It doesn't really matter if it's an outdoor thing or I want to go on a hike, I want to do knitting, or just when I am able to do stuff, then I can draw from this list because I know that this is stuff that I would really love to do in my downtime. And I'm struggling with this a little, but I'm also not, and it's going really well. So that is the extent of things that I want to plan for in my planner. And I actually even developed a layout. I will show you. We will get there. But I come from a super successful fountain pen month in February where all of my pens worked out really well. The worst one was still really good. And now I have inked my pens for March. You haven't even watched that currently inked video yet, but I'm already wondering about what if I just had 10 pens that I really loved and not ink them and just use them the whole time. It sounds really appealing to me right now because I'm not struggling, but I have a pen where I'm like, is this really worth the money that I paid for it? That pen has a nib in it that is not fixed. It's a Jovo nib. It's a double broad, cursive, smooth, italic. It's nice, but also it's really broad, and the color that is in here I don't think works well. So now am I going through the trouble of finding another ink? Am I just going to clean it out and put it away? Yeah, it's weird. It's like why is this now? Is this how it always is? If I have a very, very successful month of pens, will the next month just suck? I just I'm struggling with this right now. And so maybe we can talk through this at the desk. I also received my very first, I'm also struggling with my journal. It's like, do I even want to continue with it? And at what time do I say this is enough? I'm just going into the thing that is tried and true. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't want to give up. I thought, what if I wait until the end of March? So maybe I'm going to film a journal with me video tomorrow. Yeah, we will meet at the desk because my phone is also almost out of battery and Max is not happy with me sitting here. He's like, can we go? Can we move? Can we move? Don't. Yeah. However, it's nice outside. Oh my goodness. Do you know what I did? I sorted my whole yarn stash. And at least that part of my craft room, my studio, I hate saying craft room to it. It sounds dismissive. That area of my studio is organized. It doesn't look pretty, but it's organized. So all right, when I was making my list just now, I found that I have a lot of stuff to talk about. So I think the most cohesive way I can actually do that is by talking about the planning that I started doing. I thought about the reasons why I'm suddenly feeling like I need to get back into planning, because I've been quite happy just living my life and not doing much of anything because there wasn't really much to do. And I think this has something to do with everything that is going on. By planning, I can at least control some of the stuff that is going on. So maybe that's a reason why. I'm not sure. It makes sense to me right now. And so I'm just going to do it until I'm not doing it anymore. I hope this is going to be as deep as I'm going to get. As with a lot of things that I'm doing, I'm always either 100% in or 0% or 100% out. And so I'm trying to get to a level that is sustainable, but also beneficial for me. So how I got back into this is really funny though, because I pulled out an old journal to look for something that was completely unrelated, and I stumbled across a weekly review that I did when I still had a book that had it all. Planning, journaling, everything. My Currently Inked, all of it was together. And I looked at the weekly review and I thought, this is actually really helpful. Why am I not doing this anymore? And I can tell you why. Maybe it's back here. I then suddenly did a humongous process on what I need to do. And I think the problem is exactly this. This is too much. I don't need that. But what I can do is do a weekly review on the unfinished tasks, what didn't go well, what went well, and what I want to focus next week. By looking at these 4 things, I can identify where my hang-up was, what maybe I need to do different next week. I can also celebrate the wins, what went well, and the identify the things that really need to get done the next week. And the other thing I found was weekend goals. This is something that I don't even know how I got the idea and where I got it from, but it's actually really simple. And I said that in my intro, so I'm not going to go down into that rabbit hole, but I'll also, so here's the four things that I'm doing. I'm making a weekly list, kind of like a brain dump. I did one right here. Basically, that was when I thought that I need to do something. And this is the first rough draft. And then I'm going to show you that this week where I think this is how I'm going to do. I'm plopping down all the things that I need to do this week. Everything that can wait is going on a someday maybe list. I don't want to overwhelm myself with cleaning tasks. My house is a mess. So I want to identify what can I do, what is the most important thing, and that goes onto my weekly to-do list. All the other things, creative stuff, appointments that I need to make, errands that I need to run, all the things that are necessary to do besides the weekly, the daily things that I always do. Like eating breakfast is not going on the list. That is going on here. And then I'm identifying the top 3 things out of this list. If I get 3 of these tasks done, if only 3 of these tasks get done, which ones are the most important ones and which ones will make me feel most accomplished? That's what's going here. Then the bottom here is my weekend goals, because that's where the weekend is. We are in a weekly planner from Plotter. There's a Monday through Sunday right here, and there's, I don't know what this is. You could use this as a full Monday, Tuesday, or whichever way you want to. And that's something that I am trying more and more, is using what is good for me and letting go of what is not. So, and then I'm going to do the weekly review. Before I even started all of this planning stuff, I did a YouTube tab down here. So I think I'm going to change up this layout a little when this is gone. I think this is the last week that I put it in. Yeah. So next week is going to be, and yes, you're going to see this way later. I am going away at the end of March, so I'm trying to film ahead a little. So I have a whole virgin paper spread right here, and I think I'm going to move the what is that, weekly review right here, and then maybe the weekly review goes here and then something else goes here. I don't know yet. After this week is done, I do the weekly review, and then I set up the next week, ideally. And I'm actually blocking out time on Sundays to do this. Now I have changed my layout a little bit. There is already a horizontal line right here. That's not horizontal, that's vertical. Oh my goodness. I promise I am not like that. I know that this is not horizontal. I'm just not a native English speaker. So what I thought was I could actually use this space for day-specific tasks, because this week I totally did not take time on Friday to reflect on how the week went a little and set weekend goals, which I learned that week that this is actually one of the most important things in this whole weekly planning thing, is taking the time on Friday to plan the weekend. So here's the day-specific tasks. And then I still have enough time for the weekly list, for the top 3 that would be cool if they were on top. So I decided to reserve the first line right here for the 3, then my weekly list, which I can expand on as I go through the week. If I do it this way, I can not really do that. And then bottom here, Saturday and Sunday is for weekend goals. I actually like that I am putting the weekend goals down here on the Saturday, Sunday spot because it also has a finite space. Yeah, so that is the weekly planning. Top 3. And then this is my mini 5. This is basically my wallet right now. And the only thing that is annoying is this air tag that is on here. But I do not trust myself with, so it has to be on there, even though it's inconvenient, but better having it and finding it again as it being gone. And so what I have in here and what I'm identifying more and more is that if I have a project, I don't need a page like this. This is actually intimidating to me if I look at it as a project page. This is much closer to what I actually need for a smaller project. So what this is in the front, I have several notepads from Plotter. I have this to-do list. I have the plain papers. I have the dot grid. And I also have these 2mm grids, which I really like because there is this red line up here that I can use as a title. I love these for project lists. I like these for daily planning. So what's in here is basically all the projects, the little projects that I'm tackling. The front is basically daily logs as they would be in bullet journaling. For my journaling, that is also kind of wonky right now, I decided I'm focusing on the small things and I've had a hard time identifying them. And so I want to go in here at the end of the day or whenever the good moment happens that I want to put this in here and just make a list. So when I'm ready to journal in my journal, I have a list of things that happened. Good stuff. So this one is the good moments for this week, and then I had enough space for another week. I don't know if I want to do this like that because these pages actually, I just take them out and trash them. They're not important. So, and then here, Friday, 3/6 weekend goals. And it's a catch-all. I have it with me at all times. If I encounter something that I need to write down, I will write it down here. Like how wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment to improve the world. That was someone commented this on one of my videos, and I just really wanted to not forget it, so I put it here. I indulged on a quick hyperfocus project this past week, which you can see I am on a high right now. Things work out for me. And I think it's mainly because I am trying to plan and being a good human instead of just coasting. And so I took this and made a little project list on how I want to approach this. What happened was I was looking for the yarn that I wanted to use for knitting the toe of my socks, and I couldn't find it. And something needed to happen because it's my yarn stash or my fiber stash and all the notions and stuff are completely in disarray, and I knew that I needed to do this. I just didn't really want to. And so I pulled it all out, dumped it on the floor, and made a list on how I wanted to approach this, because if I didn't put out a fight plan, I think I wouldn't have been able to do it. I wanted to take out the yarn I don't want to use. Interesting projects need a project tag with name and last touched and progress. This still needs to be done. What I focused on this time was identify the projects that I'm currently working on, keep all the yarn that is pertaining to that specific project in my room, and put everything else by color and yarn weight into plastic bags and put them away in a bin. Bag other yarn by type, by project in mind, and then I also sorted my notions. And I will insert a clip and show you how it turned out, because I'm actually really in love. So I sorted my notions, I bagged my other yarn. The thing that needs to be done is interesting projects or the current UFOs that are still here need to be tagged. So I know the name when I last touched it, but this is something that I actually had an idea and that I want to talk about later. But this is what is in here. Here's my credit card, my driver's license. I have this in most of the time I have it in my hoodie pockets, and everything that I need is in here. I need to add another Band-Aid or 2 Band-Aids right here, but I have emergency Advils, Band-Aids. I have my credit card and driver's license, as well as my card for insurance, a pen, these things, and then other smaller projects. These to-do lists are really great for someday maybe lists, and that's where I'm going to put them in the future. Here's a current running list of book entries I need to put into my book journal or wish list, because it doesn't make sense to have it in the big planner, because those wishes come up throughout the day at random times, so it needs to be here. And then in the back here, I have my March projects list, the creative list. And then if I send mail to someone and I want to include different things, I will make a separate page that I then can move into my Happy Mail planner, which I actually have a, let's say, binder. And then here is my monthlies. They are good, but also I'm not really keeping up with them. We are in, is this March? No, April. Oh yeah, I am. How cool is that? I need to change this though. I also realized that I like writing with a fountain pen more in this planner than with my multi-pen. So that's this. Appointments are strong here. I have a hair tie and $5 if I need them. And that is my little teeny tiny mini 5, which is a really great companion to this big thing because this stays at home. I have a little sticky note here that I move from week to week to remind me of my plan. I'm not saying that this is how it's going to work out, but I want to remind myself that I would really love to film new pen day videos for all the pens I got in 2026 before I add more to my collection. So that's my planner things. And I had another really cool, so I am currently obsessed with these little planners. I started a mail thing. And I'm gonna see how that's going. This is the only other small ring planner that I have. Ideally, this would also be a mini 5 because these pages fit in here, but also why change ring sizes or ring amounts? But I've been looking for a way to keep track of mail that I send to friends, and bound books have always had their limitations, and maybe this is the size that is working for me. I don't know. I'll see if this is keeping up with it or not. But I also had another really cool idea, which is I want to write down the meaning of words that I encounter that I have not known before. And this time around, it is the word epistolary. And it's not necessarily the fact that I don't know what this word means. It's more that I'm quite sure that I know what it means, but it would be cool if I looked it up and read the definition of the word to be sure that what I understand it means is actually the correct meaning. One that came up is epistolary. And the other one that came up is tessera. Well, if you watched my videos, you might know why tessera came up. Because I talked about the tessera from Benu, and I didn't know what this actually meant, what the word meant, that it actually referred to the way that the design of the tile design of the body and cap were referred to in the meaning of the naming convention of the pen. So this is an adjective, and it means in the form of letters. An epistolary letter. And it comes from Latin, French, and tessera. So epistolary means in the form of letters. So a book, an epistolary, no. This means novel. Ugh. It comes from Latin or French, epistola, epistolaire, and that is all I really need to know about it. I just needed to confirm that epistolary actually means a something that is made in the form of letters. And I wonder if it's okay. Now I am asking or wondering what other things could be epistolary besides novels. I'm currently blanking, but maybe there's more. And then I found on tessera, there is a Wikipedia entry on this. There's several things written. It is a noun, and the plural is tesserae, So this is a loan word, I believe. So it is Latin, of Latin origin. And it means, has several meanings. There's three right here that come up. The first meaning, and that's exactly what the pen, the Bennu Tessera, refers to, is a small square piece of stone wood, ivory, or glass used for making a mosaic. The second one is planetology. Complex ridged surface feature seen on plateau highlands of Venus and perhaps on Triton. And then the third, which seems to be not common, it says rare, an ancient Roman die. So I don't know if this is something that is going to continue, but I really liked it, and I'm going to add it into my regular planner for now. My A5 plotter, let's just not call it a planner, and then it fits. And see if there is more words that I come across that I would like to actually look up. But yeah, so many different uses. I love that this paper is perfect for it. Let me put away my computer. I also possibly mentioned it. I know I mentioned it on my Discord that I really love these postcards from Lou Paper. And they started a Patreon subscription where $12 per month you get a snail mail, and they just started it this month. There's a letter included here that talks about what is in there. It's called Lou Paper Snail Mail Club, or actually February 2025 then, I guess. There is a magnet included. And then a sticker sheet and 2 postcards. As much as I would like to hoard them, I will make sure that I send them out fairly quickly after I receive them, because yeah, that's what I want to do with these. I want to support the artists because I love their art, but I also would like to move them along. And the sticker sheet is then something that I can keep and use for myself in my journals, which I already started using the first one. I also, let's go back to the sock thing. The reason why I sorted all of my yarn is because I was looking for this ball of yarn right here, and I didn't know where it was. And if I hadn't dumped everything, I probably would not have been able to find it. But now that I have found it, I needed to dig into how to actually knit a toe again. I have been knitting socks for a while. However, I do not keep best of track of what I'm doing. So oftentimes I end up repeating what I'm doing exactly right after I did it the first time, because I'm not keeping track well. And here you can see my tracking. So Christmas cast on Advent socks, cast on 64 stitches, contrast color 19 rows, plus 2 rows, 2 rechts, 2 links means 2 knit, 2 purl for the cuff. That is all that I talked about here. And then in this one it says, I don't even know what that means, actually. Maybe it has to do something with the heel, but I'm not sure. And I've been known to make my socks slightly too short. And I've also been known to not necessarily make 2 of the same. So maybe this toe looks different than this toe because I don't keep track well enough. This time around, I actually took the time to do some research on how to determine when to start the toe, how many rows I need for the toe. And so now I put the thing away that I used for my math. So I talked about this in my Making Diaries video. If that is interesting to you, please check that out. I will link it up here in the cards. But my friend Laura recommended a video about the toes, and I will link the video as well as the blog post that I found in the description box below. Now, the video was awesome. However, I noticed that for this type of stuff, which is a little bit of knitting math, I need it in written detail. And so I went Googling and I found another site that made a lot of sense. And so I followed their instructions step by step. So the first thing that I did, this is something that I already did before I even started that, but I traced my foot. I measured how long it is. I measured from the back to this. This is where it starts getting narrow, the second one, not the top one, this one down here. So this is 21.5 centimeters, and then this is 6 centimeters. And this is the highest point, basically, of my toe. So I measured how many centimeters this is, and then I determined the row gauge. I measured centimeter. 1 centimeter is 4 rows in this sock. So now I know that if I need 6 centimeters, I need 6 times 4, 24 rows for the whole wedge toe. I have 64 stitches on my needles, 16 stitches per needles. And when I do the bind off, which is what is it called? I don't remember. When you seam the 2 seams together, you usually keep 1/3 of the starting stitches. So for me, that it needs to be divisible by 4. So 64, 1/3 of 64 is 20. So I need decrease rounds. Because I am decreasing 4 stitches in every decrease round, I know that if I want to have 20 left on my needles, it means 64 minus 20 is 44 divided by 4. This is the amount of decrease rounds that I need. I determined earlier that I need a total of 24 rounds, so I have 11 decrease rounds and 13 plain rounds. Now, that was the first thing. So how do I keep track of that? And that's where this comes in, which I just opened my sheets and decided to, for both socks, make a table. I know I need 24 rounds. So I am I want to end with 2 decrease rounds, and I want to start with a decrease round. And then I just divided them up evenly. I left more space in the beginning, and then I went, so I do a decrease round, 2 regular, 1 decrease, 2 regular, until I'm getting down here where I then swap decrease and plain. And I will just go ahead and do it like this, and then modify the toe the next time I'm making socks. But having this written out in here, and I'm going to keep this one as well. Plus, I also added the link to the website where I got this idea from into my sheets, so that I can refer back to it. And I don't know why I never thought of this before, is to just, instead of writing it down, I'm just going to, every time I do one of these, I am just going to have a printable that I can print every time I'm making socks. Which then I thought, well, if I already make this, and this is something that I think I will do before I'm starting the next pair of socks, is why don't I make an actual sock printable sheet that contains all of the information that I need to know when I put away a project and pull it back out. So what yarn is it? How many stitches are on my needle? What needle size am I using? What is the cuff? If there is a pattern, what pattern am I using? And then this is for not a specific pattern, but this is just for a vanilla sock. Also, what kind of heel am I making? And so again, next time I'm doing this in a sock, I will make a heel printable where I can keep track, so that I can do the same thing on the other side. So I already know what I'm going to do before I start doing it, so that it turns out the same on both. So that I have a tracker for the heel for both socks. I don't know why I had never thought of this before, and I don't know why I have never heard or seen this from anyone that I follow in the knitting community. I'm not following that many knitters, but still, why? This is the most obvious thing that I could make. Why have I not ever made it before? But now that I have it, I love the idea. And if you don't need to know a lot about this, about sheets to make this yourself, but when I'm done with it, I'm more than happy to share. Here is how the decreases work, just in case I might forget. And this is in my project bag with my socks. And yeah, like what? So I already started. I did the first 2 decreases. And I'm really curious to see how it turns out. Probably will share in my making diaries for April. And then I also have 2 different stitch markers to determine which sock is what. So this is sock number 2, this is sock number 1. This is also marking my needle 1, so I know when the round starts and ends. And yeah, I'm very excited. This feels like it's doable now. I felt very lost. And maybe that is one of the reasons why I hadn't actually ever tackled this again, and why it took me so long in February to tackle this, is because I knew that the toe was looming and I didn't really have a good plan for it. So now that I have a plan, it should go really quickly and I will keep you posted. Sock printable. Now, yeah, if you are a knitter, do you have one like that? Have you thought of that before? I'm super amazed about the fact that I have never thought of making a printable that I can just fill out. And what I'm actually seeing in my head is, if you've been watching Chris Sains for a while, when she does pen reviews, she has a printable where she fills out all of the information that she wants to share or investigate before she shares the review. Yeah, something like that, just for socks. Now let's talk about the things that are not going as well. Is my currently inked. And I'm filming this, you haven't even seen my currently inked yet, but when you're watching it, you will. And here's my pain points right now. Let me pull this one out and let me pull this one out. So maybe this is a pain point as well. I'm starting to question, I said that in my intro, why am I actually even doing this? Why can I not just keep pens inked for a long time and not even care for the YouTube algorithm? But is that really what I'm like? If it was just for the YouTube algorithm, I probably would stop it right now. But I also thought that I was going to keep my February pens inked for quite a bit longer, and then suddenly the itch hit me that I wanted to change my pens, and I did. So I don't think the itch of changing things around is going to go away, but maybe I need to approach it a little differently, like have more carryover pens and change out 2 or 3 pens at a time instead of a whole new rotation. I'm not sure. I'm just throwing out stuff as I'm going. Yeah, that's that. So I already swapped out or changed out the ink in this pen. I dumped the ink into a, what are these called again? Ink miser. And then I added a couple of drops of Watermelon Tender Purple. And now the color looks more like this. Let me see if I can, let's just use this as something underneath. So I pulled out MD paper for a reason, because I felt like the cursive nibs were skating when journaling. And I am using an MD paper journal. Now, I am sitting on my couch and I have a lap desk, and maybe I need to, and I'm holding my book is kind of like this, angled like this, and I'm writing like this because I'm sitting on my chair. So this is the one that I used. So I used the double broad cursive CSI on March 5th and on March 7th. And every time it felt like the nib was skating on the paper. I don't experience that. Now let me try that here. Skating is with a K. So my thought is either it's really susceptible to hand oils and I'm not diligent enough to use my pencil board. I am using it, but I might not use it well enough. Or the other thought is that possibly the fact that the way that I'm sitting is interfering with these cursive nibs and the angle isn't correct. And so I'm noticing glitches or issues more than if I were to sit at the desk. So what I could try is either I am going to unink. No, that's not even right. I could, if I want to use a cursive nib, I could make it a point and come here to the desk and sit here and write, just to see if the posture and the writing angle and sitting on the chair is a problem. And if that is continuing, then I could swap out either the nib or the ink color. Maybe this ink is a little too dry. How much ink is left in here? Because this is definitely a not that much at all. So maybe that would be a good solution for now, is to make it a point to sit at the desk when writing with cursive nibs. This is also a cursive nib. This is actually not a smooth. This is quite rough, but this one works well. Yeah, so, and then I am too scared to use this one because the ink bled through so many different papers that I used here and here. So maybe I'm just gonna unink this, but am I inking it with another ink? I mean, it doesn't bleed through here, I believe, no. But I noticed that I'm not using it. And I'm always writing on the side that is the right side, so that if it bleeds through, I don't have something written on the back. Yeah, see, here, that's the problem. So I also went in yesterday and just widened the tines a little bit on this one by pulling out like here, going into the shoulder and just doing this. So maybe that helped. Maybe I need to do the same thing with this one because the Ume Murasaki is quite a wet ink, but this feels like it's starving. So, you know what? Since I'm already here, this is harder to do in this nib. I don't know if it did anything. It should make it a little wetter. Because if I look at this, I don't see light coming through here. So maybe the tines are quite, maybe. nothing. So I'm really not sure. So I wrote here and it worked okay. Maybe I'm not using it for the right things. I am annoyed. I'm really annoyed. And I haven't even written with all of my pens yet. This is not boding well. So let me see what pens I used for journaling to keep track. So I used the Tatcha ink. Did I already make a thing right here? Then I used nothing. Then I used the Tessera again. Not the Tessera. Did I use this? Yes. So I did another go with, did this twice. Two. Yeah, it's, I haven't even used the two carryover pens, the Visconti and the Aurora. And I also haven't used the Leonardo yet to journal. I need to do that for sure. So maybe it's too early to change things up. I don't know yet. I also wanted to film new pen day videos for the Visconti and the Aurora, but I don't want to. And so I'm trying to identify why. And I thought about this earlier, and the fact is that I don't want to measure the pens. So what I thought is, what if I just measured all the new pens that I acquired recently, all in one go, and be done with it, and then I don't have that barrier to entry for my new pen day videos, because I really want to film them. I think they are quite, maybe they're not super important, but for completion's sake, for my own personal completion's sake, they're necessary. So measuring them all and weighing them all would be extremely helpful to push that project forward and to actually be able to fulfill that goal that I set myself, to not add more if I haven't filmed videos for the ones that I got in 2026. So that would be a thing that I could do. And I will put that on my to-do list for next week. I also, the last thing that I want to touch on today is I've been talking about this for a while. I was inspired by Kristen from Kristen Creates to make a grading system for my pens. In December, she shared a grading system for the pens for the Inkvent, and I will link that video in the cards above or in the description box probably, where she had S-tier inks and then gave them grades. And so I thought about that. And I haven't come to a conclusion yet. I'm trying it out. If this is something that I'm going to carry forward, I will probably make an actual real big video about it. So I put grades. S is S tier, and then A, B, C, D. That would be 5 different grades. And I also asked the question, so what are the things that I'm looking at when talking about my pens? And so I wrote it down and I gave them a quick grading system. So the things that I'm looking at is ink flow, nib experience, comfort of the pen, the ink color, and it has something to do still with the specific pen and ink pairing, because maybe the ink color doesn't look at all what it does when it's swatched. Maybe it looks completely different than how it looks when it's in a different pen because it's super wet or super dry. I am looking at the pen in general, like how drawn was I to be using this specific pen, and then the evaporation. I was super gung-ho about evaporation not even 2 years ago, but right now it's not something that I'm super annoyed by, but I notice it and I wanted it to be reflected in the grading. So I made some things like, what does this even mean? Like, what is good ink flow? What is bad about the ink flow? And this was my rough draft first. Then I gave points and then I graded it. And then I noticed that it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to work out. The thing that I got hung up on is, how do I even distribute if I gave points and then I have them added up together? How do I then give graded? And so there is different types of grading systems. You could spread it out evenly. So, well, hold. So I did this. And then I realized, well, actually, this is not entirely great because I am putting the exact same weight on, for instance, ink flow as I am on the ink color, which is not how I look at it. And so I wrote it back out. I have several different things, and then the things that are really important to me get more points than the things that are not as important to me. So when I'm looking at my pens, what is most important to me and what makes me sell a pen more than anything else is how the ink flows and how the nib experience is. Then comfort, then ink color, and this would be maybe if I do not like the ink in a pen, I would consider, well, is it a play ink or should I get rid of it? And then pen and evaporation are very, very low on the ranking scale. And so I try to reflect this through the weight in points. But also, when I add this up, I have a random number of points. I think it's 36. 10, 20, 25, 30, no, 34. So 34 is my top score and 0 is my low score. So I decided, you know what, if I balance it out and then made this fun thing where I'm putting those back into points from 0 to 10. So basically what I'm doing is I'm figuring out the points that I have on a scale from 0 to 34, and then I am putting them back into a percentile scale from 0 to 10. Then I have them rated on a scale from 0 to 10. So for instance, the Benu that I used last month, the Benu Summer Magic, had 29 points, and that would equal 8.52 on a scale from 0 to 10. And then I could come here and then go and see the two different ranking scales. So you have a standard 10-point ranking, that is how high school courses often are graded, which is you have 9 to 10 is A, 8, where are we? 80 to 89, so 8 to 9 is B, 7 to 8 is C, 6 to 7 is D, and everything else is a fail. That's that. Then you could, I also looked at, what if you did A was 9 to 10, B was 7 to 9, D was 5 to 7, D was 3 to 5, and then F was 0 to 3. I'm playing around with this just to see how I like it, but currently I'm actually thinking that it would be best reflected if I actually applied that standard 10-point spread, which is the one that is reflected right here, A, B, C, D, F. And my A would be an S, I guess, if I wanted to do the S, A, B, C, D. I don't know if anything is going to come out of it. I did rank. Did I write it in here? Where's number 2? Nope. So I did then go back and rank all of the pens from February to see if those matched up with my very random grading system. And I did A to F instead of S to whatever. And so let's see. The Benu was a B. The Rob's Penworks was a C. And actually, the Rob's Penwork would be an F if we went... Yeah, see, that's where I'm at. So if I'm distributing it like this, which is really hard to see. So A, B, C, D, F, and it's 5 grades. So 2 points, every 2 points is one grade. Then it would be a C, 5.29. If I graded it with A, B, C, D, and F starting from 59, this would actually be an F. And 8.25 would still be a B for this one. Then we have Rob's Penwork, 8.82. That would be a B. No, that would actually be in this grading scale right here. Now, which one am I using, right? I didn't write it down here. 8.82, if I go over here, let me show you, to this scale, where I have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 8.82 would be an A. And my Rob's Penworks Skogsy is down here. Let's go with the Aurora. We have 8.02. That would be a B in the upper scale, and in the lower scale right here, 8.82 would also be a B. Maybe a B plus, depending on how we graded. Then the Pelican would be a 9.41. So in this grading scale up here, no, see, that's where I'm wrong. This one would be an A. 9.41 would be an A, and 9.41 would also be an A. So why I'm doing this right now is because I want to see if my perceived understanding of these pens, according to my rating, is the same. Opus 88, 2.94, that's bad, would be a D. In the scale where I'm evenly distributing, and a B, C, D, an F in the other one. The Nagasawa would be 8.23. That would be an A in the 2 scale and in the high school grading system. it would be a B. In, what is this one? Oh, this is the Visconti, got a 9.11. This would be an A, and an A in the other one. And then the Skogsy would be an 8.82. That would be an A in the 2 scale and a B in the other one. So I ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I personally like the high school grading system, even though these pens that I put here were B's and B pluses, these ones are F's. What I like about the 2 distribution would be that you could easier see, so it's B, C, A, D, A. So is D the last one? Yeah, C. And then you could, even if you put points here, this could be actually a B plus and the other one could be a B, and it would be more easily discernible in the ranking and also in how I'm giving points. Yeah, it feels like it's not completely thought out, and I don't know if I want to go through this every month. I like that I have kind of a guidance here on what I'm actually even looking at. So for ink flow, for instance, it's the best that I can give it. It's wet and smooth. I love it. It's a favorite. The next one down would be, I really like this ink flow. And even though it only says I really like this, I'm looking specifically as how does the ink flow out of the pen. The next one is not standing out either way, so it's not bad and not good. And then the next one would be, it's rather dry, but it's still okay. And then 0 points would be, nope, this is too dry. I'm cleaning it out right away. Done. Nib experience. This is outstanding and unique. It's a favorite. I really like this nib. Basic bitch normal. Meh, it works, but no me gusta. And then something is wrong. Comfort, this is not just good, it's amazing. I could write with it for pages. I like how this feels in my hand. Then this is usable. And the last one, my hand is crampy, not great. For ink color is, oh my God, I love it. I want it in a pen always. This is a great color, I love. I like this a lot. This ink is boring flat. I do not like the ink in a pen. So I am distinguishing between 2 things here in the beginning. Is there is nuance between the 5, 4, and 3 points for this. It's an ink I like. It's an ink I love. It's an ink that I love so much that if I had to write with this forever, I wouldn't mind. And then for the pen, I only have, and the evaporation, I only have 3 different distinguishing things. Something about this pen makes me want to use it all the time. I'm liking this, but it's not a favorite. And then the last one is, for some reason, I'm skipping over the pen. I have to make myself use it. And then for the evaporation is ready to go always. There is darker color when I start writing, so there is evaporation there. And then the pen has hard starts, dries out. So now I started for March, I am actually putting my thoughts on a page, and I used to just go with half a page, but now I'm putting all of those 6 categories at the bottom so that when I'm ready to rank or rate these, I can put the points down here. And also when I'm writing up my experience, this is what I'm writing about so that when I rate this, I can refer back to it. Now, I like it so far. Will I like it forever is the question. It would be something that is more comparable throughout the various different ranking cycles. And I'm not sure if I need the grades, the letter grades, or if I should then just put the points into the here, so that that's how I then rank them. It could be an interesting thing to see if the points then correlate with how my personal feeling of how, when I rank them at the end of my report, does this correlate the ranking by numbers? Does this correlate to the ranking by feeling? Yeah, I'm definitely trying it for March to see how it goes, how much time it takes, how much easier it is to come to a solution or to a general understanding of the pens. And if that is going to work out, then I might adopt this for forever. I am thinking of just scanning this in and printing it out so I don't have to refer to this, and just adding it to my book, so that then I could totally make this available to you all as well, if that's something that you're interested in. Now I've been yapping on for so long. Let me know how you're doing. I'm excited. Maybe it's the spring feeling that is outside that makes me so successful in life, or that makes me feel like I'm successful. I don't know, because there's also always something that is not. The solution that I have for this is to keep using it for a little bit, but I'm not going to make myself use it all the way through March. There will be another journaling session with this pen in the next week at the desk to see if that helps. And then we will see how I'm faring. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. I really loved hanging out with you as usual. Thank you so much for all of your comments always. I'm really bad at responding. There's so much backlog. I just decided to try and keep up with the comments that come in right now instead of going back months and responding to those. I do read every single one of them, and I appreciate you all for taking the time to share and encourage me. Yeah, I hope to see you again soon. Until next time, bye.